You are seeing this correctly. There is a possibility that Sam Presti will be leaving the Oklahoma City Thunder in the near future. When I say near future, I'm talking 2 to 3 years from now. All right, because there are signs pointing to this actually happening to the team. Sam Presti, one of the most successful general managers in all of basketball history. When you look at it, there are only 4 general managers in history that have done what he has done. All right, and some of that are Red Starback from the Boston Celtics. I probably butchered that name right there, but he was one of the most legendary GMs of all time. Pat Riley as well. Sam Presti is in the same level as those guys. He will have a statue in Oklahoma City for building a championship team there out on the prairie. All right. So why would he be leaving? Well, there's really one main reason, and that is ownership. And I'm going to break down why the ownership could be the reason Sam Presti is a general manager of a new team in the future. Before we get into all this, though, quick moment to recognize that, 80% of you guys are not subscribed to this channel, but yet you're watching this content on a regular basis. If you enjoy the content we're putting out here at Thunder Digest, you want to support, the best way to do so is just by hitting that subscribe button. With that out of the way, let's go ahead, get into the video talking about Sam Presti and the possibility of him leaving the Thunder in the future. Now, do I think he's leaving the Thunder? Personally, I don't. Talking with the guy, meeting him multiple times, all right, having multiple conversations, seeing what he's done for the city, seeing what he said in interviews before, I don't think he's personally leaving the Thunder, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. It could happen. There are multiple teams that we could see him leaving to go to, all right? And majority of this, being brought up is ownership, okay? The ownership has already stated that they're looking into selling the team. And there's sources for this, and let me go ahead and bring them up for you, okay? A few weeks back, Barry Trammell of Tulsa World revealed that current chairman Clay Bennett and the Professional Basketball Club LLC will eventually wind up selling the Thunder due to the rising valuations of NBA teams. Basically, now that the Los Angeles Lakers were sold for a record-breaking $10 billion. Considering their initial investment of $350 million back in 2006 has now turned into roughly $4 billion, Trammell suggests a sale could come sooner rather than later. Now, while the season columnist did make sure to note that based on the club's accomplishments and the way they've endeared themselves to the state of Oklahoma, the expectation is that the Thunder have done enough to solidify itself in the city under new ownership. When discussing the concept of a sale, ESPN's Tim Bontemps believes there's a chance Sam Presti may not be so lucky. So there's a bright side and a downside of this, okay? They stated, look, the team's going to stay in Oklahoma City. No matter what, with the success that they've had there, what they've done for the city, they're going to stay. There's not going to be relocation. They just built an arena. They signed a lease that keeps them in OKC until 2050. They will be the Thunder will be in Oklahoma City for the foreseeable future, for as long as that lease is there until 2050. Sam Presti, though, because of this ownership, may want out. If there's new ownership and they're limiting him and what he can do as a GM, he might want to go to an organization that has money and is going to be like, look, if we got the money, let's go ahead and spend it. You have no limits. You're one of the best general managers in basketball. Maybe the new owners will do that. But like I said, if that is the case, Sam Presti will look at the options of leaving and going to a team where he's going to have more freedom. And I guarantee you, he's done enough right now where if he needs to, he'll take a year or two off until a team is there and ready for him to take a general manager position there or president of basketball operations, whatever it may be. That is a possibility. We can't just throw it out right there, all right? It could, I don't want to say 100% is happening, but there's a 50-50 shot under new ownership. Presti leaves the Thunder because of what they're limiting him and, know what he's able to do. That's simple. Let's go and take a look at the second part of the article here. On a July 16th episode of the Hoops Collective podcast, Bontemps praised the organization's current ownership regime, stating that their approach has been hand the keys to Sam Presti and saying, do your thing, we're not going to get in the way. And that's a pretty, good mentality when you have a general manager like Sam Presti. Trust him that he's going to do the right thing for the Thunder. Trust that he's going to do whatever it takes to get a championship to Oklahoma City. And look what happened. He brought a championship to Oklahoma City. However, when it comes to a complete sale of the team, he questioned whether the GM would have the same amount of freedom to operate as he does now. saying we've seen a lot of new owners have a lot of impacts in a lot of places, an act his ESPN cohort Tim McMahon coined as new owner syndrome. With the ongoing talks of league expansion, concerns about Presti being poached have already been percolating. Now, with the recent report of a sale on the horizon, Bontemps has added the fear of a possible internal meddling from new ownership as a reason for the beloved executive to potentially consider jumping ship one day. And I guarantee you, if Presti is on the market as a general manager for your team, you're going to do whatever it takes to bring him there. Look at the track record of success that he had with the Oklahoma City Thunder. These are all the seasons Oklahoma City has played, excluding 2025, 2026, as they haven't played yet. But look, all right, the first season, they weren't good. Plain and simple, 23-59, that was the first season of Westbrook right there. But there was glimpses. You had Westbrook. You had Kevin Durant. You had a good team brewing right there. And then what happens next? You lose in the Western Conference first round. You had a 50-32 record. Not bad. Not bad at all, all right? That's improvement right there. Then you lose in the conference finals the next year. You're clearly getting to the right steps. Okay, let's keep this going right here. Record of 55-27. The next, you had a 47-19 record, and you lost in the finals. You finally made the finals, all right? After 4 years of being in Oklahoma City, you made the NBA Finals. That's pretty nice, okay? Next, you lose in the conference semis, 60-22 record. Disappointing with that kind of record you had, but it's fine. Then you lose in the conference finals, 59-23 record. Once again, disappointing. That's how it went. But, you made a deep run in the playoffs. You finished as a top 4 team in the league. Then you don't make the playoffs, 45-37. Great record. That just goes to show how tough the West was that year. Then you lose in the conference finals again against the Golden State Warriors. You blow that 3-1 lead. That's all on Kevin Durant for not showing up in the final 3 games of the series. Then you lose in the first round, lose in the first round, lose in the first round, lose in the first round. These are all the Paul George years right here of Russell Westbrook, then Chris Paul. Then you fully enter the rebuild. 3 years of not making the playoffs, just in a rebuild, 22-50, 24-58. Then 40-42, that's the sign you lost in the play-in right there. Okay, that was a sign. We're looking like a good team. You make the conference semis, you lose in 6 against the Dallas Mavericks, who eventually made the NBA Finals, lost to the Celtics in 5 games. That's a good sign. You lost against the team that made the NBA Finals. That's a sign like, look, if we had the weapons to beat them this year, we could have made the finals. All right? It just came down to a matter of which team had experienced more playoff runs in the past, and the Dallas Mavericks had. Luka Doncic had made conference finals before that already. He's had multiple playoff runs. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, that was his second ever playoff run right there. And he still outperformed Luka in that series. And then you make the NBA Finals the next season, and you win it all, boasting a 68-14 record, one of the best records of all time, one of the best teams of all time. Look at offensive rating, 120, defense rating, 107. These are all great numbers right here. All great numbers. The Thunder were legit last season. They were. They won the finals. And it's because of Sam Presti and the roster building, and Clay Bennett, the owner of the Thunder, gave him the keys to do whatever he wants. But you guys might be wondering, has he ever thought about leaving before, or are these just new things that have been talked about already? Well, there was a time Sam Presti had considered leaving. There was a legit time. When Boston was open before Brad Stevens got it, Sam was interested in that job, Mannix said. On top of this, the concept of there being a personal link to a possible expansion team, like the new Seattle Supersonics, for example, is also something that could theoretically play a factor in his decision-making. As pointed out by Simmons, Presti received his start as general manager with Seattle back in 2007, before the team relocated to Oklahoma City as the Thunder. Boston is interesting, and I think that would be probably the only other team he would consider going to join, because it's a storied franchise. It's one of the biggest franchises of all time when you look at basketball, okay? It is. It's one of the most historic franchises, the most successful franchise of all time. Presti is also from Massachusetts. He is. He's from Concord. He's from Concord, Massachusetts, just a few miles outside of Boston. That's where he was born and raised. He went to Emerson College in Boston, same college I went to. Sorry for the little flex right there. But that's why I think if he would go anywhere, it would be the Celtics. And I don't see that job opening up anytime soon. However, if ownership does limit him and they're like, look, we don't want you doing this because we want to save money. This is our team. We own the team. You just work for me. I could see him wanting out and being like, look, I'm done. If you're not going to let me run the team how I'm supposed to run it, I won this team in NBA Finals because I was given the keys to the franchise to do whatever I wanted to build this roster. I'm not going to work for you. I could see something like that. So you have to look at what, the new ownership kind of track record of how they act, if they've ever owned a team, if they have before, what they've done with the team right there, what they've done with the general manager. There's a lot of factors that go into it. And let's say Brad Stevens leaves the Boston job. I don't see that happening either, because Brad Stevens is also from the New England area. I'd see him staying with the Celtics as long as possible. But let's say that Celtics job does open up. Presti might look at it again to go closer to home. He has a family. He's getting older. He has a son who's getting ready to go into middle school. His parents are getting older. That's just the hard truth about it. He might move closer to home to help take care of his family, be closer to family, and it's something that, it's a place that he loves. It is. So that's a possibility. But like I said, the only place I could see him leaving the Thunder to go to is the Celtics. If that job ever were to open up, and with the success Brad Stevens has had, I don't see it happening. I just don't see that happening. I don't see him outright leaving the Thunder for another team. Only way that happens is if the new ownership is just very strict with them, and that is a possibility that could happen in the future. That's all I got for this video. Let me know if you guys personally think Sam Presti is going to leave, even if new ownership really does limit him, because we've seen GMs do that before that have had success in the past. That's all I got. See you guys in the next one.